Tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Teruvan saranai. Welcome all of you to the Sunday Dhamma session. And today you all have requested me, let's start with the meditation, but because we won't have much time today, I think we will go through the question and some things, and then hopefully from next time we can do the meditation, because if we are meditating, we should take at least half an hour or more to have a impact. So anyway, I want to ask you all, let me have a look. How many of you all did listen to the documentaries I normally send you? The one, especially the one, Dr. Andrew someone, excuse me, Dr. Andrew, that the documentary was called, I think, Unlocking the Mind. How many of you did listen to that? Maybe if you all did, you can raise hand. How many of you all? You don't need to switch on the mic. Okay. Okay, most of you haven't. Okay. All right, you can put your hands down. Because it's
Asra Bhikshuni Mahansa, I'm getting a few messages saying they did, but they're finding it in the rush difficult to raise hands or this technical issues. But a couple of them have sent me messages. Yes, I don't know how to raise hand. They have sent a message.
Okay. All right. So, okay, that is good. So I would encourage you all to listen to that documentary by Dr. Andrew, I forgot his surname. He's a neurologist, and he was explaining how the breath is connected to the nervous system and how the breath could control the nervous system, how we can use the breath to control the nervous system. Like, excuse me, if you are stressed out, how you can use the breath to bring sense of peace and calmness, serenity to the mind instantly by controlling the breath. It's like knowing the pedals in your vehicle. Now, if you are too idle, too lazy, lethargy, no energy, then how you can use the breath to raise your vibrations, to bring up the energy. So he was very clearly explaining the methods, what is being taught in yoga, the pranayama, and how Buddha has been using the breath. It's just because you are not seeing the connection with the breath in Buddhism and developing this mind, you're not seeing is because what you're being taught by a misinterpretation to watch the tummy, rise and fall, rise and fall. Or watch at the nostril. But there is no sutta that tells to concentrate. Or hulang gagah inda hulam diha balang inna kiyala tiyena. There is no such sutra. What is in Anapanasati Sutta, Satipatthana Sutta, Mahasatipatthana Sutta is how to really exercise the breath. Take deep breaths, deep long breaths, exhale, deep long exhalations, deep long inhalations, long exhalations, and then bring it to short. So like that, it changes the rhythm, and then watch the whole breath. Then use the whole breath to relax. First, so assa samiti sikkati, the longness, then the breathing, refining it and bringing it to the short breaths, refined breaths, then pasambayang, then sabba patisankara, sabba kaya patisangvedi, means experience the whole breath. Excuse me, experience the whole breath. And then it talks about pasambayang kaya sankara, relaxing the body. This is all by using the breath. Still, it's going with the anapanasati, and anapanasati is not a exercise on concentration, but it is exercising the breath. And just because we were not taught the Anapanasati Sutta in the proper way. Anapanasati Sutta in Satipatthana, Mahasatipatthana, it has 16 steps. Like you're changing the gears in the vehicle, starting from the first to the second to the third, fourth, then put into the fifth and go in the auto cruise. Like that, this breath, how to use this breath to refine more and more, to refine the activity in the body, the sankharas, to relax the body, relax the sankharas. It's used, the breath being used. So that is the exercise in the Satipatthana, Anapanasati. So we need to learn it, but because we were not taught how to do this and the 16 steps, we were taught just watch the breath on the nostril or just focus on the stomach, rising and falling. So this is why a lot of the Buddhists, even the meditators, are very ignorant about their state of the body, the state of the nervous system and the breath, and how the breath can calm us. You know, if you can, looks like not many has listened to it. Sorry, excuse me about my hay fever. Do you have that in your computer? That unlock your mind?
I do. Give me a little time.
Do you remember where he was talking about how the changing the breath can calm you down and how you can use it to raise your vibrations, raise the energy? I think around 1 hour mark. I can ask you to fast forward it anyway, because it's important for you all to
play it now.
Sorry?
You want me to play it now?
Yes, yes. So I will just get you to play that beat so they understand when the neuroscientist is talking about this. He's explaining from the physiology. You will understand how important is you getting to know your breath and to know how to control the breath. It's all about breath, actually. Our whole life, the life force is depending on the breath, the quality of your breath. It's around one hour mark from my memory. I will ask you to fast forward. Study this, and also then you will know how to help your kids when they are going through a tantrum, or when they are sad or depressed, when they are stressed. This is the best medicine to use, free breath. It's just that you need to know, that's all.
I need to download this, no? Okay. Okay, and I have to share. Hang on. Let me share this.
And then I will tell you where to forward, up to where.
This is the one, right?
Yeah.
You can't fix it with your mind. You're talking.
Unlock your mind.
Yes, this is the professor. They talk about.
No, I have sent you 2 documentaries. I want the one that said unlock your mind. The recent one that I sent to the group, I think probably the last one, his last one in the group.
The last one in the group is Bhikkhuni, about that awareness, is it?
Would you like me to go back and...
You sent me one this morning, maybe not on the group.
Not that one. Keep that on the side.
Okay. The last one, I'll open my WhatsApp.
No, this one. Just can I send it to your WhatsApp?
Yes, please.
So, okay, I just send you.
Yes, that's the one.
That's the one you're playing?
This is the one I'm playing now. Yes.
All right. Good. Okay.
So,
please.
Like this is the very beginning.
You can't fix your mind with your mind sometimes.
Trying to control the mind with the mind is like trying to grab fog. Positive thinking is not about being delusional. Positive thinking is about learning how to take control of internal processes and understanding that that will shape your external environment.
I think you gotta have a dream.
The School of Greatness.
Really? Yeah.
Please welcome Louis House.
When things are really tough in life, when people are really stressed out, they've had some type of traumatic event, whether it's the loss of the job, the pandemic, whatever it may be, how can people use their mind to then push past pain? Or is that not something we should be thinking about, pushing past pain? But how do we use the mind under some type of traumatic experience for our benefit?
Okay. It's an excellent
easy question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's an excellent question. It has a couple different answers because there are a couple different categories depending on what people are dealing with.
Right.
So I think all trauma, anxiety, fears, they all map back to stress in some way. Now you can have stress without trauma. You can have
Sorry. I apologize.
This is the one, no?
Yes. So shall I fast forward around 1 hour and see?
50 minutes something.
lab's been doing it.
Oh, wait, leave it there. Yeah, play it. Let's see.
Most people by any stretch. Whereas turtles can navigate long distances based on magnetic fields in the
That's
ocean.
cool.
It's very cool.
That's cool.
It's very cool. So our experience of the world, all humans' experience of the world, is kind of tunneled by these what we can see and what we can't see. There's a lot happening that we can't see. It's just a reality. That's why people need night vision goggles as opposed to just looking at things in the night without them. So that's key. So there's sensation, and then there's perception, which is simply to say which of those things are we paying attention to. So I can see that this water bottle is, a mixture of blue and glass, and because I decided to look at it. But I was sensing it out of the corner of my eye the whole time, but I was focused on
Right. I can sense the air touching my skin because I'm deciding to focus on that.
That's right. That's right. So that's perception. And you want to just make sure that we close the hatch on interoception, perception of what's going on. Like I don't think about my heart rate too much, but if I stop and think about it, I'm thinking about my heart rate, and then I'm just sensing my heart rate. But it's still just pressure. It's it's a physical phenomenon. Okay. Then there's thinking, which we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's emotions/feelings, and those are complicated, but they are tractable, as we say. We can figure it out. And then there's behaviors, like you're writing right now. It's a measurable thing. It's a real thing. Okay, so what about thoughts? What in the world is thinking? Well, in many ways, thinking is a lot like perception. Perception, again, being which sensations I'm focusing on. Except that thinking incorporates sensations from the past, sensations from the present, and can include sensations from the future that we haven't even had yet.
Interesting.
So this, I think, speaks to your question about law of attraction, which is, never really been formalized for the scientific community.
Before
It is before this. Is it about that sobbing that
People should always
at that point, Bhikkhuni Mahansa? He was giving different examples
yeah, play to halfway through. Let's see.
halfway through.
I mean, no. At the beginning, it was somewhere at the beginning. Yeah, play there and see.
This stuff is not to put a lot of unnecessary detail, but I think when people realize this isn't something that you build up over time and then are able to do, that you literally have a set of wires that goes down to your diaphragm, this muscle in your
I think it's funny.
it can move your lungs. And then as you blow off carbon dioxide, when you do that exhale, your brain starts to calm down, and then your mind, the top-down control cortex, can start taking control.
Rewind it a bit. No. Volume you can keep. Rewind it a bit.
Okay.
I think it's somewhere there. Yeah, rewind it a bit. Yeah.
And children
Rewind it a bit more.
Yeah, enough. Let's see.
Relationships. If you ever, someone's really stressed and you tell them to relax, sometimes it actually can create more friction and they don't feel supported.
What should they do in that moment?
They should look to the body. The nervous system includes the brain, but also all the connections to the body and back. And so when you can't control your mind, you want to do something purely mechanical, like the physiological side. Because that, once you take control of the body in that way, then the mind is going to fall under the umbrella of.
Sorry?
Can you pause it for a minute? Yeah, thank you. Yeah. No, but this is very important. The point that the neuroscientists are saying, when you are stressed, when you are emotional, when you have too much going on in the head, it's not easy to fix the mind straight away. This is why you need to, he's spot on. He says we need to do something mechanical. That means we have to work with the body. So this is how the breath comes to the scene. And this is how the sila comes first. You have to exercise the mechanical part first, then it helps to calm down the mind. So it's very important why it starts sila samadhi, sila leads to the samadhi. Just rewind maybe few seconds and play it. So now you all can pay attention. I found the place. Yeah, few seconds is enough. Yeah, you can play.
Are so overactivated. They're in this alertness, hyper alert stress for so long that eventually they kind of crash into the over fatigue stress. Okay.
So one turns into the other one.
Right. So the first thing for anyone trying to navigate stress, and then we'll talk about trauma, is to understand in what kind of stress they're dealing with. Are you exhausted and having a hard time getting your energy up?
Mm-hmm.
Or is your energy too high and you're having a hard time getting your energy down? Because the solutions to those are often quite different. So on the previous time we met, we talked about a tool for calming the body very quickly, which is this double inhale, long exhale. Typically the inhales are done through the nose, the exhale through the mouth. So the physiological sigh, which was discovered by scientists in the 30s, and then Jack Feldman's group at UCLA has really identified the underlying brain circuits. And then my lab is now looking at this stuff in humans in a kind of more clinical setting. That double inhale, followed by an exhale, we know is the fastest real-time tool for taking one's state of alertness down.
The hyper alert stress.
Right. You're not going to crash into sleep, but you're going from you're not feeling good, you're too agitated, you want to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that tool is it speaks to a principle, which is it's very hard to control the mind with the mind. So when you're stressed, just telling yourself, don't stress, don't stress, don't stress, calm down, rarely works. It also rarely works to tell someone else to calm down.
To relax. Hey, relax. Yeah.
Usually it has the opposite effect.
Don't tell me to relax.
And it can be damaging for relationships. If you've ever, someone's really stressed and you tell them to relax, sometimes it actually can create more friction and they don't feel supported.
What should they do in that moment?
They should look to the body. The nervous system includes the brain, but also all the connections to the body and back again. And so when you can't control your mind, you want to do something purely mechanical, like the physiological side. Because that, once you take control of the body in that way, then the mind starts to fall under the umbrella of this top-down control again. Top-down control is what children and puppies don't have. If we had I've got a 10-year-old bulldog. His name's Costello. He barely does anything now because he's Costello. But when he was a puppy, everything was a stimulus. He would walk over, pick up a cord and chew on it, then he'd drop it and he'd pivot to something else. And it's because they literally have no prefrontal cortex wired into this limbic system. They don't have this suppression. So there's no friction. The limbic system just does whatever it wants. And actually in humans with frontotemporal dementia and in certain people who have frontotemporal brain damage, they become very impulsive.
My dad went through, I don't know if I talked about this the last time, but my dad had a traumatic car accident 15 years ago. It was 15 years ago, a couple months ago, where a car went on top of his car and went through the windshield and the bumper hit him in his head, pretty much split open his head. His girlfriend at the time was holding his head together, went to the hospital, airlifted in a helicopter, was in a coma for 3 months. And it's been a 15-year journey where we had to reteach him how to write, how to talk, walk, everything, where it was almost like he was my father in his body, but his mind was having to relearn like a child. And even today, when I see him, visit him, he'll swear just compulsively. He'll do things that maybe aren't appropriate because he probably doesn't have I don't know, you can probably tell me better as a neuroscientist, but what happens when someone has brain damage, especially in the frontal cortex? What happens to the brain?
Yeah, so when I say top-down control, there's literally a set of wires, we call them axons, from the prefrontal cortex that suppresses these impulsive behaviors in the limbic system. And when there's damage, it's essentially removing that brake. And, in adults, older adults especially, because their behaviors aren't quite as, because they're older, they aren't necessarily going to walk over and punch people or scream out expletives and these kinds of things. Fortunately, although sometimes you see that, sadly, but those circuits aren't functioning well. And in young children, if you ever go to a classroom, I guess now kids are home a lot, but in a typical kindergarten classroom, what you'll notice is that some of the kids can sit very still. And other kids are rocking back and forth, and moving around a ton, and the teacher is constantly trying to. I was one of those kids.
Me too.
Exactly. Trying to corral the children, and children mature at different rates. And what you're seeing there is the different maturation of their frontal cortex. When you see a child that's very deliberate and can really control their speech and their behavior, you're looking at a child that has a lot of top-down control. The frontal cortex is really engaged. Now,
is that genetic? Is that
probably a mixture? Probably a mixture of environmental influences and genetic, like most things. And I'm not trying to just hedge here.
Sure.
I think, like for instance, I have a niece who is adopted, and she's very deliberate and very calm. And so we wonder, what is this genetic? Is it nature, nurture? There's probably some genetic bias, and then there's probably also a lot of environmental influences. I mean, a lot of what we're taught in school and at home, because a lot of kids are homeschooled now, is about what not to do.
Right.
Sit still. Don't say this. Don't say that. We get the say please and thank you. Sit up straight. Do your dishes, kind of stuff. But a lot of the don't language is designed around these things of top-down control, which set up a lot of important social constraints.
Right.
And we've all felt this as adults too. Where in two ways it becomes really extreme when we can't control that limbic system. One is when we're very fatigued. When we're fatigued or we're sick or we're in pain, physical pain, chances are when something bothers us, we're closer to that threshold of saying the thing that we wish we
don't have
say.
patience.
Exactly.
No patience.
That's right.
So how do we learn to have patience when we are hyper alert or overwhelming, exhausted, stress?
Okay. So when we are in hyper alert, there's a mechanism associated with that that makes our internal world measure time differently. What happens under those conditions is you feel like the external world is moving very slowly. I think I might have mentioned this in our previous meeting, but when you're really stressed on the hyper alert side, it seems like the world is going very slowly. You're going to just knowing that, and knowing that it's likely that you're going to feel impatient and if the world is moving much too slow. Sort of like you're trying to get someplace on time and the person in front of you doesn't know where you're going. I was the guy not knowing where I was going this morning. And we can't see each other in cars. So you think, what is this person doing? Oh my goodness. And they're just looking for the right turn. Yeah. So there's that. And then when we are fatigued, it seems like the world is going really fast. Okay. And so for people who are exhausted, everything feels overwhelming. Now, of course, the rate that things are actually moving in the world is the same, but the perception is that it's just too much and we can't cope. So we talked about a tool to calm oneself. The reason I like the physiological side is we are all equipped with the pathway. If people want to know, if there's some medically oriented folks out there, or if you want to teach this to other folks, there's a nerve called the Phrenic Nerve, Phrenic, that goes from the brain down to the diaphragm, that controls that and then controls the lungs. And so when you decide, okay, I'm going to use the physiological side to calm myself, in a way you're engaging top-down control, because you're taking control of your internal landscape rather than trying to take control of your thinking, which is very hard.
You can't fix your mind with your mind sometimes.
Trying to control the mind with the mind is like trying to grab fog. It's just going to keep moving, right? If you ever try to grab or smoke, it just moves. It's vapors. You're never going to grab it. The key is to take control of the system by taking control of a real physical entity, this phrenic nerve. And the reason I describe this stuff is not to put a lot of unnecessary detail, but I think when people realize this isn't something that you build up over time and then are able to do, that you literally have a set of wires that goes down to your diaphragm, this muscle in your abdomen that can move your lungs. And then as you blow off carbon dioxide, when you do that exhale, your brain starts to calm down, and then your mind, the top-down control of the cortex, can start taking control of the limbic system again. It's almost like you're losing control of the automobile and you're trying to steer, but really there's another lever that if you just pull it, then the steering wheel will stabilize for you. So that's the way to think about the physiological side. On the other side of things, when you're feeling overwhelmed and fatigued, there are two ways to approach that. First is the kind of foundation of fatigue, which is almost always poor sleep and scheduling of sleep. This is something that doesn't get discussed a lot. I don't think I've discussed this on any podcast previously, but getting better at sleeping is a whole set of practices. But sleep is a slow tool. It's not a real-time tool, because if you're feeling exhausted and you have to get up and have your day, deal with children, deal with work, deal with life, we can talk about how to get better at sleeping. But in real time, what you want to do is you want to bring more alertness into the system. Focus and alertness. The way to do that is to take advantage of a very well-established medical fact. All medical students learn this, all MDs know this, which is that there's a direct relationship between how you breathe and your heart rate. And so I'll give a little bit of the background and then I'll give the specific practice just so that people understand where this is coming from. So
shall I pause it?
No, it's all right. Pay attention. So he's showing how to sharpen the alertness.
I'll continue.
Yes, please.
When we inhale, it almost feels like everything's moving up. But actually what happens is our diaphragm moves down. Okay, so when we inhale, our diaphragm moves down. When that happens, our heart literally gets a little bit bigger. The volume of the heart gets a little bit bigger, which means that whatever blood in there is moving per unit time a little bit slower. And there's a set of neurons in the heart called the sinoatrial node that sends a signal to the brain and says, hey, blood flow is slowing down. And the brain sends a signal back to the heart and says, okay, let's speed up, and speeds up the heart rate. So the short, concise way to put it is when you inhale more vigorously or longer, you're speeding up your heart rate. This actually, there's a name for it in the medical community, but the important thing to understand is as you inhale, you're sending a neural signal to your heart to speed up. And when you exhale, the diaphragm moves up, the heart gets a little bit smaller, literally because there's less space there. Then there's a signal sent to the brain, and the brain sends a signal back and says, slow down the heart rate. And so
this is happening quickly. So if you inhale, it's speeding up.
That's right.
If you exhale, it's slowing it down.
That's right. So if you want to become more alert, you actually can just simply make your inhales a little bit more vigorous or a little bit longer than your exhales. So if, let's say you get up
quicker or longer inhale, shorter exhale.
That's right.
Not
to speed up your heart rate and to be more alert.
Not longer exhale, double intake.
Right.
Shorter, yeah.
So longer or more vigorous inhales will speed up your heart rate and make you more alert. Longer or more vigorous exhales will slow down your heart rate and make you less alert. And this has a name, which is, as you know, it's a certain kind of arrhythmia, but that makes it sound bad. This is actually what's happening all the time. This is the basis of heart rate variability. When people talk about heart rate variability is good, you know, that you don't want your heart rate to be one level all day, high or low. A lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, I got a nice slow heart rate. And you think, well,
all day long when you're asleep.
That's right. Well, slow heart rate is better than excessively high heart rate. But you don't want your heart rate to be like this. You want your heart rate to go through these fluctuations. Heart rate variability is good.
Why?
Because heart rate variability reflects the activation of what's typically called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the brain's ability to slow down and calm the nervous system. So when your heart rate is going like this, it means that your heart rate is speeding up and then your brain is slowing it down. Your heart rate is speeding it up and your brain is slowing it down. And that's what's happening all day long as you're moving through things in a kind of calm, alert way. But when you get that troubling text message where you see a post or a comment and you go, and all of a sudden your heart rate just goes, and you feel like you immediately want to respond, or you're going to say the thing that maybe you shouldn't say, or you're going to do the thing that maybe you shouldn't do, or you just want to be more thoughtful and more targeted in your response, the key is to slow down the heart rate by making your exhales longer or more vigorous. So it could simply be, and then shorter inhales, longer exhales, or do the physiological sigh. Or if you wake up in the morning and you're experiencing the other kind of stress, which is you look at your phone and the news, and like, the world is overwhelming me. My life is overwhelming. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even know what sequence I'm going to do things in. You're just discombobulated. And a lot of people struggle with this. The key is to do a few breaths, even while you're getting out of bed and preparing your morning coffee or water or whatever it is, and just start breathing in a way that's inhale emphasized, which sounds weird, but basically what you're doing is you're speeding up your heart rate. At some point, usually within only 2 or 3 of those breaths, you're going to feel more alert, and then you can just go back to breathing normally.
So you don't have to do this for hours. You do this for a few moments or minutes.
That's right. And while I'm a fan of breath work as its own thing, because breath work can teach you how to operate these levers in your brain and body, so to speak, breath work is a dedicated practice that you do away from these stressful events. Whereas learning to control your heart rate and thereby your mind using your breathing. So it goes breathing, heart rate, mind in that sequence. So if your mind isn't where you want it to be, don't start with the mind. Start with your breathing, then which will control your heart rate, which will then allow you to control your mind.
So don't think your way out of a moment of stress. Breathe your way out of a moment of stress.
That's right. And one of the things, and I'm certain there are going to be people out there listening to this saying, wait a second, the yogis and the yoga community has been talking about this for centuries. What are you doing? You know, this is just a recasting of what we already know. I agree. Within the science community, these things have been given crazy names like arrhythmias and heart rate variability and diaphragm and the phrenic nerve. And so the language of science has known all.
Sorry?
Thank you. No, so, now they can listen to it at home, but I hope you all heard the connection between the breath, the body, the heart, and the mind, the brain and the mind. So it's important that you know a little bit about this so you can use this as and when you need to. So the Wim Hof method is one of the best methods that we can find today. It's more or less like if you have practiced it, it's like you have practiced driving in the rain or in a thunderstorm or in a very stressful situation, because it creates the stress response. But then in that stress, it brings the mind to stay calm. So in actual life, when you're facing a stressful situation, now your body is accustomed to stay calm, because it's being acclimatized. So it is a very good training that you all can do to train yourselves to face the stress, be under stress, but to remain calm. That's the benefit you gain from practicing a method like Wim Hof method. But like he said, easily you can have control or access to your mood. If your mood is agitated, you need to pay attention to the exhalations. So it will bring calmness. If you are the Thinamidda or the depression or sleepiness or lethargy, pay attention to the inhalation, and you take long, deep inhalations. Or like he was saying, the double in breath, or things like that. So know these things. You can write them down. Listen to this few times until you understand the physiology and the connection. And you'll be able to use this as and when it's needed, and you'll be very surprised how you can control your mood. And when your mood is under control, easy to control your thoughts. The problem started with your thought, but you can't have access to the thinking and straight away control your thoughts when you have a hurricane going through, when you are so emotional, when the mood is so wild. So first thing you need to do is you have to calm down. So you need to learn to relax physically and using the breath. So there's two levers. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. And previously, I also sent you another clip long time ago by a different person. They were talking about the importance of conscious breathing. How when you breathe in and breathe out, when you do that consciously, how it has an effect on the vagus nerve and how it keeps the system calm in a calm setting. So that is very important for you all to learn. It's not about concentrating on the breath only while you're sitting or focusing on the tummy, rise and fall while you're sitting. This practice is all about you paying attention to your breath throughout the day when possible, and you being conscious of the breath. Not that breath comes and goes, you even don't know whether you're alive or dead, whether you're breathing or not. But see if you could be aware of your breath throughout the day and see the effect it will have in your mood, how quickly it will help you to stabilize your mind, calm down, and how relaxing you will become. So that's another one. So there's a lot of things for you all to learn, and then it will help you to see the connections. And I sent another one, but I think today, because I can't stay for too long, maybe I won't play that now, and I will send that documentary also to you, to the group. Please listen to them, because it makes my job easier for you to explained in the Dhamma way. If you know the science behind it, so I don't have to go and do the science teacher's job or the neuroscientist's job. You already know it. So I can link the Dhamma. I can show you how it works with you. So if I send a documentary, I only send if I see something that is worth. So please, if possible, find time and listen to them. And if there is anything that to practice and see, so you can see it for yourself. And there is a very interesting documentary I will send you, because he's showing physiologically how your thought really changes the body, even the proteins, how the thought makes you to be at ease or dis-ease. So he's linking how all the diseases stem from proteins not being given the proper message. So when the proper proteins are not made in the body, we get this ailment, that ailment, this sickness, that sickness, disease prevails. So how does the protein changes, how it doesn't do the job properly, why it doesn't produce the proper proteins? Because our body is under stress, the mind is under stress. How did this stress come to be? From the thought. So he is showing very clearly how your thoughts really control what you experience. Before, we thought it was the gene, but this doctor is clearly saying, no, it's not the gene really. It is our perception, it is our being conscious of this process and being conscious of your thoughts and taking control of your thoughts. You can really consciously create peace and calmness. You can de-stress yourself. And in that one, I was going to say something that we also will talk about your energy, your field. It is the field that affects. So field is the energy that we have. So the energy is built, energy is determined again by the vibrations in your body, the cells. How healthy is your cells? What is the frequency that they are emanating? And what really determines this is your thoughts again. So more powerful field we have, more energy we have. And to the level where some people have shown that we can use our body energy, like every cell has 1.24, I think, millivoltage in every cell. But if you add it together, there is a lot of voltage in here. So there are people who can bring this energy to a focus, and you only have to think. You know, Yuri, was it Yuri? I forgot his name. Not. I forgot. There was a person who could, by looking at a spoon, he will bend the spoon. And when he was doing the show on the TV, and he had told the viewers to hold the spoon in their hand, their teaspoon or the tablespoon or whatever, and he was doing it, and the spoon that these people who was watching it from all over the world, their spoon started to bend. So he even demonstrated that more powerful your energy really can reach anywhere and everywhere. It's not constricted by the time and the space. We can't do these things because we don't have that much energy. Our energy is scattered all over the place. It's wasted on emotions. it's wasted on negative thoughts. So this is why people can't even get their own wish to come true, let alone bending the spoons. So if you learn how to really, bring your energies together, it's like the Uri Geller. Yeah, Uri Geller. That's right. Thank you very much. Mage කටට එනවා Yuri Gagarin කියලා, and I knew it was not Yuri Gagarin, so that's why I kept quiet. Yuri Geller. So we have sunlight, and if you bring a I think it's a concave lens, and you keep it there and you allow the sunlight to concentrate in the focal point. You put a cotton there, the cotton can be on fire. And we did this when we were kids. You keep it under the sun and on the focal point where all the rays are coming together, you put the cotton, it can set fire. So it's like that. Even our thoughts, all this scattered energy, you can bring it, you can arrange it in a more constructive way by purifying your mind, by thinking selectively. So you're not wasting your energy from the thoughts and emotions on the emotions, but because now you're very selective about your thoughts, there is positive thoughts, or what we call the good thoughts. They have higher vibrations. They create the energy. And if you know how to use them, you can really take control of your body and the mind. And this is how the secret of this, that, and the other, how you can attract what you want, and everything is based on. But for our purposes, we are not interested in materializing things or, wanting material things that we are going to use this energy. But it's important to arrange your energy in this positive way, so your body will be at ease. Your cells will arrange in a the proper way, how it should be. And so that way your cells will rejuvenate and they will have enough nourishment. The system will run in its optimum level. So when it is at ease, your brain can function the best way. So like I pointed out last time, your brain has to be the focal point. It is the brain that helps us to really deepen our understanding, to understand the reality and the nature of the things. So we need to really look after our brain. So if there's a point in the body where you want to pay attention, it's not your nails that you should be putting Q-Tex and doing everything and, try to beautify that. It's not your face that you should be putting makeup and this, that, and try to do that. It's not the muscles that you should go to the gym and exercise and strengthen. The most helpful thing in your body is your brain, where you should put 100% attention. You should do the makeup, the Q-Tex, the lipstick, and your exercise. Everything should be directed to the brain. And you work with the brain, then the brain will strengthen, and it will develop an environment where you can penetrate into things and be able to see things very clearly and sharply, and be able to understand. So it's because we don't have the deeper understanding about the life, about the realities. So we are deluded. This is why we are caught up in our own thoughts, in the thought world and in our emotional world. This is how we suffer. And when you're caught up, what the results, the bonus you have is suffering, physical and mental, enormous stress, enormous suffering. So our interest is to free ourselves from this suffering, to free ourselves from this stress. And this is why we are interested in look within and how to really relax and de-stress and find that freedom from suffering. So there's few angles, few aspects that aspects that we have to take control of. The physiology, the mechanical side, that is the sila part, and the samadhi part is the mood, that you keeping the mood in the peaceful, serene state, and the prajna part. The prajna is the developing the understanding. But you can't develop prajna without the sila and the samadhi. It is the understanding. You start with prajna. Let's say if when you understand the real nature of things, things as they are, say, let's say that is the prajna 10 out of 10. So this path starts from samyak drushti. It's like, let's say, number 1, 1 out of 10. So just the prajna has started. So from that understanding with samma ditthi, that now you're starting on this path, and the sila is based on this prajna, but this is very primitive, this prajna. But from that understanding, the behavioral part, we start to take control, the mechanical part, your body, your speech. And then when you take control of this and you look after this, not stressing it, but always keeping it in a relaxed state. That's the whole point. Whole point of you keeping sila and doing this sangvara part is to keep yourself stress-free and keep others stress-free. That's the whole point. So this, your focus on this living a stress-free life then helps you to stabilize your mood. So the when you do this with understanding, it helps you to get rid of the 5 hindrances, and it will stabilize the mood to the level, it will come to samadhi, to a tranquil state. And in this tranquility, there is no adverse chemicals working in the brain now. There is no chemicals that will block your neuronal pathways, that will block your proper thinking. So it will not hinder your sharp, clear thinking. So you'll be able to see things very into the deep and clearly and sharply. So then the prajna will start to develop. More your sila samadhi gets refined, more the prajna will go up, and it will come to a state where when you develop the sapta bojjhanga, now when you're following the Noble Eightfold Path, and you come to the 7th step, the samma sati, where you will pay attention 100% all the time to the body, to the breath, to the mood, to the feelings, to the thoughts, and you see how this is working, and you're understanding the workings of this, how the dukkha comes to be, what happens. And through that, developing your understanding, it'll develop exponentially in this phase when you are developing the sapta bojjhanga. And then it will come to the maturation at samma samadhi, when the 7 factors of enlightenment get perfected at upekka. So the samma samadhi is now perfected. Then the result is a full enlightened being who have seen and understood from within what's happening, the reality, how the world is made of, and how our experience is made of, and what's really happening and all that. So anyway, so this is a progressive path. We just can't jump the queue and just sit and meditate and say, oh, no need the sila, no need the samadhi. We can get, do the satipatthana and we can just get enlightened. No. It's a progressive path. So we can talk about, we can take suttas, and one good sutta is the Meghiya Sutta. Fail to understand whether is it possible for us to straight away do the Anapanasati or straight away do the Satipatthana, or what we should be doing really, how we should do, where to start. And Meghiya Hamudro faced this problem. He thought he can go and meditate in the forest by himself, and he even wanted to give up looking after the Buddha. He was the attendant, but he thought, no, I saw a good place to go and meditate. It's so nice and calm and quiet place, a riverbank with mango grove. So he just said bye-bye to Lord Buddha, even though Buddha didn't like the idea. He adamantly went to meditate, but when he went there, he realized his mind was not calm. It was running all over the place. So he come back to the Buddha and asked, why is this? You know, I'm so fond of meditation, and I gave up everything in my life to, come to you and to realize this. How come? Why can't I meditate? Why can't I be peaceful? What's happening? And then Buddha actually explained to him, well, there is things that you need to do to bring the immature mind to the maturity. And it's only a mature mind can practice the Anapanasati or the Satipatthana. That's the final lap. If you practice the Samma Sati, and how you practice the Samma Sati, the method is Anapanasati. So if you practice that, there's only two results. Either you end up becoming the Anagami or an Arahat. So it is a final lap. So before you get there, there's so many prerequisites that you need to fulfill, you need to practice, you need to qualify on. So this Meghiya Sutta is a good sutta to discuss. So maybe you can find that Meghiya Sutta and put it to the discussion group, and you all can read it and be ready so we can discuss it next time, and you all can learn how progressive is this path, how you really have to pay attention to your sila, your words, and your behavior. And Buddha is emphasizing those 2 points. After you finding a Kalyana Mitta, you have to pay attention to your sila. You can't be a wild, like a wild horse. You can't be like a you need to learn to behave in a smooth way, not stressing others, not stressing you, the system, but appreciating the relaxation, appreciating the peace and the calmness. We need to behave in that way. And our speech, we need to pay attention to the speech. So Buddha is saying, you have to refrain from this detis kata, and if you want to talk, you only should be engaged in this 10 dasa kata. Kela kata 10ක් ගැන කියනවා, කතා කරනවා නම් මේව විතරක් කතා කරන්න. So sila has an enormous impact. This behavior has an enormous impact on your samadhi, on your chitta, and developing the panya. So we can't jump the queues and get enlightened from one day. So it's a training. And that Meghiya Sutta gives you a good understanding of what involves, because a lot of you may be in that state where your mind is not in your control. It's just running around. And that's exactly what how Meghiya Hamudro was at that time. So it can apply to us too. So let's read that sutta. That's your homework. And also listen to this documentary. So if you haven't heard about this, the documentary that we just watched, watch that, and also the one that I'm going to post you now. Please watch that too, because it's a very good documentary on how the body, the cells, the brain, the thoughts, all interconnected and how it works. So you can become your own neuroscientist and it can really help you all to progress in your path. So, so it gives you in and out understanding, not just theory and do something blindly, but you can do it with understanding. So no one can lead you astray. You know what's happening. You know what the meditation means and how it should be based on facts. And you can apply these things and see it, then you will know it for yourself. Then no one can bluff you. No one can tell, sit and just watch pumping the breath in, breath out, rise and fall, rise and fall. You will know nothing will happen to you. You will only sit and watch that. Nothing will happen to you. So let's do our homework and we can meet up next week. So do you all have any questions from whatever we just chit chat today? It's nothing much, but I just wanted to emphasize you about the importance of the breath, and you learning about the breath and you practicing how to bring the breath under your control and learning to breathe consciously. That is a must. Pay attention to the breath and breathe consciously. And I'll try to find that documentary as well, and I'll send it to you. And you practice that for this week, breathing consciously throughout the day, and see what will happen to you. And then you will know why Buddha was emphasizing on breathing consciously. That's the one part in Anapanasati, breathing in consciously, breathing out consciously. Being aware of the rhythm, whether it's a long breath or whether it's a short breath. You just can't know whether breath is long or short if you're not aware of the breath, if you're not conscious about the breath. So it's about being conscious. So this is what I would like to say for today. And I have another program which I was meaning to start this program early today, but I forgot to let you all know, early. When I was getting ready to let you know, the message had gone into the system. So I thought, never mind. But I'm quite happy to take a question or two based on this discussion.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhikshuni Mahansa. If anybody has any questions, please unmute and ask now. Till they unmute, I have a question, Bhikshuni Mahansa.
Yes.
Now, when in a stressful situation, sometimes it may be, it depends on the person. It may be like the heart rate that you feel is pumping, or the stiffness of the neck or something. So we can start from that physical sensation, isn't it?
Yes. So if you're feeling the neck is stiff, you have to relax. You need to consciously relax.
And,
So
is that through the breath?
You can relax. Now you can relax the neck by relaxing the neck muscles, okay? But with the heart rate, you can tell, slow down the heart rate, slow down the heart rate, but it won't. It has a different language, the breath. So this Dr. Andrew was teaching you how to bring the heart rate down if you want to. And if the heart rate is too low, how to raise it. That's the important part. And he was pointing out the fact that we should have heart rate variability throughout the day. Instead of having high heart rate all the time or low heart rate all the time, we should have heart rate variability. Then the vagus nerve kicks in and the parasympathetic kicks in, and it is a parasympathetic that keeps you calm. So he was pointing out a very important thing. This is why the exercises is a must. You must do exercises at least once a day. And you should go for a walk. You should do something. And now our ancestors were healthier than us because they were working, physically working. Pitikotanava, Redihodhanava, Atukanava. So there was this heart rate variability, and that helped them naturally to stay calm. Today, we don't do anything. We just so sedentary. If the heart rate is low, it's low. If the heart rate is high, they're having high blood pressure. They are like that all the time until they're drop dead with a heart attack. So this is the problem. So you need to know to keep it calm, but time to time to bring it up and stimulate the sympathetic pathway, parasympathetic pathway. So helps you to stay alert and calm. So in the Buddha's teachings, the walking meditation is a must. In the forest traditions, we use a lot of walking, do a lot of walking meditation, and only when you're tired, you sit. So that is the exercise we do. So this.
I think Ishan had a question.
Yes, yeah. So, in that I could first entire, did they say what happens when the bed is
Sorry, your mic is not clear. Your voice is not clear to me. Sorry.
Okay, how about now?
I think, yeah, come closer to the mic.
How about now?
Yes, that's clear now. Thank you.
Okay, because I could watch the entire video, but just to ask, did they mention what happens when the bed is like long and long or just short and short? Like he also telling about going and doing long breaths to basically increase your metabolism, like increase your action in a short, like long breath out.
It's your voice. Something is happening.
Let me ask it on the chat. Let me just ask it on the chat. Short.
Yeah, I think it's better because there's a problem with the sound.
Bhikkhuni Vahansa, about the physical stress that one feels, just looking at it or observing it itself, doesn't that, this is my experience, without doing anything, of course, taking the mind away from the factor that was creating the stress, but focusing, simply looking at the heartbeat, brought it down to a certain calm level.
Because you have stopped the circuit now, you have disengaged the circuit, you have break the circuit, you are aware of what's going on. So if you can just be aware of it by itself, when the hormones get subsided, the heart rate will go down. Because now you're aware of how it started and you're not giving into the same thoughts. And when you're conscious, and if you don't engage in those same negative thoughts that gave rise to this, when the hormones are, when they get diluted and disappear, the heart rate will go down naturally. True, what you said is true.
Sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhikkhuni Vahansa. Ishan has posted his question. Ishan says, did you say anything about breathing in both in-breath and out-breath at the same length?
There is a method that way to stabilize more. So if you after you disturb the heart rate and you want to bring now peace, then yes, so pay attention to the in-breath and to the out-breath, where you keep them both the same time, same length. So very easily mind will calm down. Yeah. But first, depending on what you want to do, you can work with the inhalation or with the exhalation where you pay attention. The quality is different. But if you really want to have long-lasting peace, yes, after you have stabilized it, to stabilize it more, you pay attention to your in-breath and the out-breath, keep it at the same time, same level. And that will help to tranquilize. Yeah, listen to Dr. Andrew and keep a pen with you and write down. Listen to it a few times and write it down, and then practice it. But he doesn't mention that, but it's in the yoga, in pranayama, where you do this equal length in breath and the out breath to keep the system calm. Okay, my dear. Then
Sadhu, Bhikshuni Vahansa. Yes, it's no more questions also. Maybe we can wind up for today. Thank you so much for giving your time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I will post the documentary again, the one that I wanted to send you all today.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, Bhikshuni Vahansa, and for teaching us all these valuable lessons and kind of taking us through the videos also during this time to make sure that we appreciate and see the value in all of this. So I will post the sutra, as you said, for next week, so we can all read it up and be ready.
Meghiya
Yes.
Sutta is in the Anguttara Nikaya, Meghiya Sutta.
Yes.
And so take care of your breath. Try to breathe consciously throughout the day. So that will help you all to stay calm. And when you're calm, you'll be able to see your thoughts very clearly, what's happening. And then you'll be able to have a good control over your thoughts, which is very important in purification of the mind. Okay. So we couldn't do much, but at least I hope, you got something out of this. So thank you very much for joining, and I look forward to meet you all next week. I think I shouldn't have a problem next week. Yeah, we'll keep it at 3 o'clock from Melbourne time next week. Should be fine. Okay, then.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Teruvan Saranai. Thank you everyone for participating and for your questions. Teruvan Saranai.
Teruvan Saranai. Take care.
Thank you.